Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Library of Alexandria. I do have a channel, and I do have a connection to the internet, and I do still think/talk about books sometimes. So, guys, this is the first video of the great A Song of Ice and Fire reread along. I have not read any of these books since 2012 when Dance with Dragons came out. And so it is late in traditional Allen style. And with me, I have, as always, I have Evie of the phrase. She lives in the Twins. We have Anitha, who likes the Lannisters so much, she asked me to change her name to hashtag Cersei did nothing wrong. Hashtag Tywin is my zaddy. Hashtag. Look, I'm just repeating what Anitha said. And then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the person whose friendship with me was forged in me trolling him about how much I remember hating Feast for Crows, which is possible I still do hate it, but we'll see. Jimmy Nuts, a.k.a. Chatting with Nuts. I initially made him a Targaryen, and then I'm like, wait. Well, no, he yelled at me, and I'm so tired I didn't see Bobby B in the background. So how's everybody doing? Y'all all good?
Good.
Y'all ready to talk about Game of Thrones? So Jimmy is the number one Song of Ice and Fire fan that I know. I read the first three books several times while waiting for my friends and I. We read books 1 through 3. I think, when was book 3 come out? I want to say I read book 3 when it came out. It is possible that's a lie. Book 3 was published in 2000. Oh, 100%. Yeah. We read these in high school. So I remember when book 3 came out as well. So I had graduated high school, just graduated high school. Anyway, and so I read them several times before book. I read the first 2 and then read them again when book 3 came out in anticipation of book 3, and then again for book 4 and then book 5. But it has been, I've not again touched these since Dance with Dragons was published. I had seen the first season and a half of the television show, and I've also seen a whole bunch of clips and then videos analyzing season 8. Jimmy, how many times have you read the series? How many times?
I think back and through 7. I'm pretty sure.
You've read this book series 7 times?
Yeah.
I have not read it that many.
I kind of like it. I gotta ask you though, what was it like reading book 3 when it came out, like fresh? Like that had to be insane,
dude. It was wild because my buddies, there were like 2 of us, especially my friend Lawrence. And then reading book 3 for the first time, that is an experience that I'll never forget. Like I will never forget reading the back half of Storm of Swords for the first time. I actually just got in a discussion with one of my students. I just got back from state, and one of my students was reading. What was he reading? Feast for Crows, because I did bed checks, and I'm like, who's reading freaking Game of Thrones? And the kid was like, me. And I'm like, good for you. He's like, it's a reread. I'm like, I know. Like, I'm supposed to be reading Clash of Kings. He's like, that's my favorite. I'm like, I like Clash of Kings better than most people, but like Storm of Swords, he's like, Storm of Swords it's all set up. I'm like, what? He's like, Storm of Swords is fine. I'm like, okay, F. Like, you're getting F. I'm like, the back half of Storm of Swords, apparently he's judging it for the first half, which is also still really good. But, he's like, what? Liking Clash of Kings is a W take, but calling like Storm of Swords an entirely set up book is an L take.
That is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. It like concludes the first arc. What a weird take.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
Well, here's a question. Maybe he read the split version, because I remember talking to AP once, and AP was like, meh, it was fine. I only read the first half of Storm of Swords because they split it in Europe. And he was like, it was just fine. I'm like, dude, what? Like, you didn't read the whole thing. He's like, yeah, I DNF'd. I've seen it before. I was like, oh my God. That's crazy.
No. And you've seen the show, Jimmy?
Yeah.
And you have seen and read Fire and Blood / House of the Dragon and Dunk and Egg, whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
Dunkin'
So
Egg's amazing.
All right, so Jimmy has done all of it. Evie, what is your experience with this book prior to having read it?
So, when the show came out in whatever year that was, the first season, I was like, oh, this show is huge. I'm going to watch the show. So I started watching the show, realized it was based on books, went to my local Walmart because that was my bookstore back in the day, picked up the TV show tie-in cover of A Game of Thrones, which I think, if I remember correctly, it had Peter Dinklage on the cover for whatever reason. I remember I could have swore I read the majority of that book, but then stopped, and I never continued. When I started to reread it this time, I realized I only read like the first 3 chapters and never actually read the entire book. So I basically, this is a new read for me. So, and it's been since the show ended, since I saw the show.
So you've seen the whole show.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, but I did try to like read this book, trying to put the show as much out of my mind as possible.
Yeah.
So
I had completely forgotten the show when reading this. And I rewatched episode 1. And anyway, Yohei had some good takes about that. And Anitha. So Anitha, guys, anytime Anitha's supposed to be reading a read-along book, Anitha is instead rewatching the show. So Anitha's seen the show as many times as Jimmy has read the books.
That's not true.
It is. Anitha has watched every episode of Game of Thrones 7 times.
That's not true.
Okay.
Good for you, Anitha.
Then what's true?
This is my first time reading, but I watched the show a couple of
7
times.
times.
Couple of times. But yes, I mean, first time when I watched it, I think season 5 finished. People are waiting for season 6. That's when I watched, and I read. Once I binge watched all 5 seasons, I read all kinds of theories on Quora. Like even the things that are there, not there in the show, I know them because of all the reading those. I was obsessed with it at some point.
wait, Anitha, didn't you also first watch the show in India where it's incredibly
Censored version with no nudity, no violent scenes.
Why
so
watch?
basically, when you watch like 10 minutes per episode.
I think that's why I wasn't a big fan of the show first time. I mean, I was obsessed with it, but I was like, people were like so crazy about it. I wasn't that crazy. But second time when in my latest watch, that's when I was like, I did not realize I was saying the dialogues out. That much I remember. I was like, oh my God. That's when I realized like how much I like it. I like the characters better. I like the show better, I think.
David here has watched it 8 times, so he's beating you. Always good when Jared comes and checks on smaller channels. I don't know who he's talking about here, but
Jared, I'm sorry I wasn't able to pick up your call today. I was in a meeting. Sorry.
that's what he said to me last time too, Jared.
I'm in meetings a lot more than I'd like to be.
I
Anitha,
cannot.
did you say you like the show more?
As in, this is my first time reading, so I haven't read all 7 books yet. 5 books
Yeah, I
yet.
didn't hear that. I would have definitely called her out if I heard that.
Okay, I thought I heard that, but I'm tripping.
So what's up, Charmaine? So, guys, put in the chat if this is your first time reading, if it's a read along, how many times you read, whatever. Jimmy and I for sure are going to be gushing a lot because, guys, when I picked up this book again, I had forgotten, and I had gotten a glimpse, a taste of it again when I read Fever Dream, because I should not have liked a book set in the American South on the Mississippi River in a steamboat with vampires. Literally, like I can't
Nothing about that. Says
I
Alan.
cannot think of anything about that. Maybe steamboats.
Let's
but I
say
can't think
steamboat, maybe.
anything else about that I would ever like. But Martin, like I don't know. I don't know what it is. I love the way Martin writes. Like I read this so fast. And I was saying this to Jimmy when I was reading it. Like he gives in his descriptions just enough information to picture what needs to happen, and not anymore. He does not wax, I don't know, like vista. He doesn't like paint all these vistas. It's none of these ideals, and some people really like that stuff. I have difficulty picturing description anyway, like of terrain. So it's just, it moves along at a clip. He tells us what we need to know, and then he'll fill out more information later. I found that Martin does a lot of storytelling by just dropping bits of lore in random conversations or things like that. And I think Martin is he's just one of the masters at it. At least, again, I'm so excited to read books 4 and 5 to see if I feel differently, because for some reason I have this marked just change in how I feel about Martin's writing from books 1 to 3 and then 4 to 5. And I don't know if there's a big gap between his writing in 1 and 2. I mean, again, I haven't read it in forever, but just reading it again made me realize how much I love Martin, how much this book influenced me in how much I love political maneuvering. This book, there are so many fantasy books that have political machinations in it. And it's just all a lot of it is really just surface and obvious, where it's like, how on earth do you not, how does someone not stop this plot here? This seems like this is the easiest foreseeable consequence. Martin has a lot of nuance here going on that it's just really believable, in that we're not gonna talk spoilers right away, guys, but the people that fall victim to the designs that are going on in front of and behind the scenes, even though you dread it from the beginning, Martin thwarts a lot of expectations, I think, before subverting expectations was just in vogue. It's just what you do now, right? People subvert, I'm going to subvert this trope, because that is trope subversion is just the thing that happens now. Anyway, Jimmy, you want to comment on that before I check in with Evie and Ethan, how they felt here about Martin just in general?
Yeah, I mean, I've always really enjoyed his writing. I feel like he does a great job of knowing when to drop the information, but it's also like the way he has people say things in the situation that they're in is how you can kind of take away what that person is about. Yeah, Tywin's interesting is a great example. Like when he gets into the scene, you immediately know what kind of guy Tywin is, and more importantly, what kind of father he is. And it took paragraph maybe without going, well, we all knew, of course, that Tywin was a jerk. We didn't have to do that. Though I still like a lot of his descriptions that are probably a little bit exposition heavy and definitely call back to the Tolkien style of doing things. But I love his description of the Vale. It is so stinking good. And also, you brought up a really good point of just being the political maneuvering and the nuances to it. The best part is that I think every single person is they think they are justified for what they're doing. They all have motivations, and if you sit in that character's head long enough, you can actually see why they think that way, which is pretty cool.
Thornall says Martin subverts expectations. The first sword of Bravos did not have a sword. So I can see this, Zen. I mean, the villains do have a lot of cover, but the villains tend to have, in this, at least the villains are the ones in the positions of power.
Man, it almost feels like real life that villains never get punished.
I mean, sometimes in real life, the villains are in positions of power and, have that kind of cover. Zealy Green, I'm not sure is anyone better introducing characters and a cast of characters than Martin. I just don't know what it is. I guess it's in vogue now to diss Martin because he's, is it going to finish Winds of Winter? And then all this week online, I've been reading the rumor of there's a leak that it's coming out this year. And then Bantam just said, it's not though. So don't want to seem like I'm just jumping on like the Martin bandwagon. I guess that bandwagon from 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But I just reading it again made me realize how much I loved this series back when I read it, when I, in my younger years, 20 years ago. And I really enjoyed being able to read it without constantly referring to the back of the book. Like when I first read Malazan, I was constantly referring to the dramatis personae, like who people are. And then when I, long ago, reading Game of Thrones, I'm constantly looking at the houses to see, who is from what house and what their relationships are. That's well established enough to where I know that now. And I think he does an admirable job of introducing so many characters into this. Evie, what about you?
Yeah, so one thing that I forgot to mention is, so while I've never read A Song of Ice and Fire before, I've read A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. It was my favorite read of last year.
That's awesome.
I loved it. So, but even before then, I had read Died of the Light, which was Martin's first novel, ? I think, if I remember correctly. But the first thing I ever read from Martin was actually a short story in Jack Vance's Dying Earth world. Okay. And I just from the talk that I've heard about Martin's writing and reading that story, I was like, oh crap. I'm in for it with this guy, because just from that story, I could see what everybody talked about with his writing. And then, even though obviously it's a different author's world, like, I loved his world building that he was doing in just that short story. And then in Dying of the Light, while I was quite literally middling on it, I think I gave it 3 stars. The more that I think about it, the more I appreciate it and even love it for its world and the characters. And you could just see everything that he puts into A Song of Ice and Fire in these other works that he has. And I know Anita's read Windhaven. I can't remember, Anita, if you've read anything else by him. But anyways, yeah, and then I read A Knight of Seven Kingdoms, and the thing that I love about fantasy and, well, anything, is just the thematic explorations. And I did not expect and anticipate in A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and then by extension in A Game of Thrones, the thematically rich explorations that he's having about honor, about, well, honor's the biggest one, about childhood, about just power and power plays. And he's not obvious about it. He's not direct about it either. There's truly nuance and conversation going on between characters, and subsequently with us as readers, that I think is just really, really good. The scene, which I think it's stanza 2 or stanza 3, that entire chapter where Sansa is at the tourney, and just the imagery of her and that golden veil. Like, I'm sure there are theses about that scene and about that chapter, because it's just so beautifully written and so rich for exploration. And I think that about that scene on a very regular basis.
That's awesome. Evie out here elevating the conversation. Real quick before I move on to Anita. This is the original cover I read Game of Thrones in. This is my original cover. Do you have this one?
Who is that on the wall?
I have that downstairs, I believe.
Oh,
nice.
John.
Yeah, this is my original cover. An ex-girlfriend stole it. So
that's a shame.
Whoops.
That's why she's an ex-girlfriend.
No, we broke up. She was giving me the books back. She was reading them. I got her to read them, and then we broke up, and she didn't give me my books back.
That's brutal. She hit you where it hurts.
I mean, I know. So 1 second, Ethan, sorry. No, like, I'll pause it. I shouldn't cut Anita off. I mean, it is because I hate women. I don't
count. I'm not a woman.
No, but that's why Anita gave this 4 stars. There are too many female POVs, and Anita cannot tolerate that.
That's not
Go
true.
ahead, Anitha. What were your thoughts overall before we start hitting into the nitty gritty here?
Okay, now I'm scared that Alan is going to yell at me. But overall, I liked it. 4 stars is a good rating. Okay, very good rating.
I just can't listen to this.
Anyway, I agree with everything what Evie said. I think I liked the thematic exploration more than, sorry to say this, Martin's characters. I'm sure we'll get I'm sure we'll get character depth in future books, but in this one I think I was expecting morally gray characters. I'm surprised how good or bad they are,
You don't
overall,
think Tyrion is morally gray? Which one is Tyrion? Is he good or bad?
Tyrion's overrated. There you
No,
go.
no. We'll talk
we
about
will
that in a
get there.
second. We'll talk about that in a second. Tell me, Anitha, is Tyrion good or bad? Tell me which one. Which one, Anitha?
Tyrion
Right
is
now, make a
definitely,
call.
Martin wrote him as a good character. He's definitely kinder, but he is a Lannister. That I'll never
I
forget.
think he's nicer in the show than in the book. I think in the book he's much more gray than he is in the show.
100%.
I mean, how much Tyrion uses his Lannister name, of course, that is natural, but he also has that Lannister's pride, Lannister's arrogance, Lannister's entitlement, but he's kinder. That is the exception, I think, and the way he
Yes, this
treats.
is what she meant. You're right. You're right, Thornall. 4 stars out of 3. You're right. I agree.
I think the way he treats like children, Stark children, like how polite he is with everyone. His instant reaction is not to kill people like the rest of the Lannisters. So that definitely makes Tyrion better. But I cannot forget that he is Lannister. That is my, I think that is me problem.
Oh, I hear you. But I like the Tyrion in the book better because my feelings are much more conflicted about Tyrion in the book. In the show, I like Peter Dinklage, and I like that he slaps Joffrey, and I got to see it. And they sand off some of Tyrion's rough edges. One, he's not as hideous, and that's just a human condition for us to be more attracted to characters that are aesthetically pleasing. Tyrion would not have been nearly as popular in the show if he had looked like the imp looks in the book. And so reading this, I forgot how difficult it is for me to like Tyrion in this first book, because for every let me help out John, I know what it's like here, let me smooth things over, to not killing children, to trying to mitigate the worst of what's going on. There's I'm gonna let things happen because it's family, and I always side with family, and there are things that I could do to stop things happening, and I'm not going to, because I'm still a Lannister. These people are still my siblings, even
And
though they're
also,
horrible people.
Tyrion's POV, most of it is very sexist, the words he used or his dialogues. So it is very difficult for me to, you know, ignore that sometimes. So I'm not as big a fan of.
Sometimes, Anitha, that's the number one thing you take off stars for.
not not just
Someone
that.
calls a lady a
Anyway,
bad word, Anitha's like, minus a star.
Tyrion's definitely sexist. There's no
For
doubt.
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, are we talking spoilers? No, right? Anyway,
Not yet. We're about
coming back to my initial point, I was suppose comparison between Ned Stark versus Tywin Lannister. Before even we met Tywin Lannister, we got to know about what he did with Tyrion's wife, Tyrion's marriage, and what he did with Rhaegar's children, and we are seeing him burning villages. He's completely evil. There is no morally grayness about this. That's what surprised me, because even after watching the show, I was kind of expecting characters to be morally gray and flawed, but there is some goodness. I don't know why I got that into my mind. So I was really surprised how extreme most of the characters are, good versus evil.
So Tywin didn't necessarily order what happened to Rhaegar's children. Like, it's kind of murky whether the mountain went too far. Like, there's an argument to be made there, I think.
Okay,
I'm sure we see the mountain go too far in this book when he is dealing with whatever he's dealing with those towns. So I really like, because modern day fantasy, in a lot of modern day fantasy, and it just kind of going back to what people have said in comments. Jimmy, you and I have talked about this. Gurm didn't invent the multi POV naming chapter, whatever. It was Tad, right? Like Tad's the first one to really do it big.
That I know of. I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff. I don't think Zelazny did it in Amber. I don't think.
But Martin, someone said it's, he did that and then it's been copied ever since. And that's true. I don't know anybody that does it as good as Martin. Like, I just don't. That was my introduction to that style. And like, I love it. And I love that he also he gives us enough about what happened with the Mad King and what is the big battle at the crossing where
The Trident.
the Trident. He gives us enough to make it make me want to know more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to strike that balance. Books I read now either are way too, I love Steven Erikson. Every one of y'all knows I love Malazan. But every now and then in a Malazan book, it's like, oh, do you remember when that happened? Oh, that. And it's so vague as to know. I don't know what's going on. Like, I have no idea what happened in the past. But then you have the extended flashback sequences that tell you everything that happened. I like the fact that it's murky, to where you don't know exactly who did what and who was 100% wrong at during that whole stuff. And to Evie's point, first of all, I love the theme of justice and loyalty and honor. Ned Stark is one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. If you haven't read this book, you should go. We're going to start talking spoilers momentarily. Like, literally at any moment, I'm going to spoil something. That is the exact kind of character I like. Sam Vimes, these characters that are like so bound up in their own honor. And I love the fact that Martin took that and said, here's what would really happen if people were like this, walking into this snake's den.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Cersei told him. Like, I love the scene where he's warning Cersei.
And she warns
that
him.
is one of my favorite scenes. That between Cersei.
Is that scene? That scene's in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But she's warning him too. Like, him giving her that warning is the stupidest thing he could do.
Yeah.
Not listening to Renly and grabbing her children to hold hostage is the stupidest thing he can do. Like, tactically, from a tactical position. But for him, it's the principle of the thing. And as someone who understands that, like, he's just he is not playing the same game that everyone else is. He is playing a game by, like, he has the old outdated rules. And like, the game's been revised and updated like 4 different times, and there's a completely different rule book, and he's playing by the old rules and has no idea.
He's playing by rules.
Yeah. And
no one else is.
That's so indicative to what Sam Vimes would have lived, because Sam Vimes has more street smarts because he's not a noble. But like, this whole idea that, I don't know, just it's like taking Ned out of the honorable North and throwing him in the pit of vipers that is the South, and showing what happens. Like Cersei's line, I've always remembered Cersei's line of, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die, right? Like there you go. And it's just, that coupled with the theme of power. And you can tell that Martin is well-read. You can tell Martin's well-read just from the Yorks and the Lancasters, right? Just what it's based on, to the battle, the sea battle in book 2, where I teach something similar about ancient history. And you can also tell he's read all the old discussions, like the Melian dialogues, where Athens is besieging this city. It's a very, very famous study of realpolitik, where we get the phrase, the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. And that's that's the Lannister, like, creed. Like, we have power, so we can use it.
Yeah, inherited from the Targaryens too. I mean, the
Yeah.
Targaryens were so bad for the small folk. Not every single king, but largely, they largely did very poor when it came to the small folk. Yeah, Monica. I like Monica's
You know,
I
take
I
there.
agree. Like I wish we knew more. I like that we don't, but I wish we knew more about Brandon. And yeah, he wasn't supposed to be the heir. He was not the
Mhm.
one that was supposed to inherit Winterfell. He wasn't supposed to be the politicking one. He was just what, the soldier? Like, was that, how do they usually do it? The first one's the heir. The second one is the second one's generally the priest. But I guess that's not how this works. But anyway. So I want to ask, what is everyone's favorite character before we just delve into
oh
this
no.
more?
In this book,
In this book,
Yeah.
it cannot be based on things that are to come.
Sansa,
Ned is
easy.
mine, hands down. It's Ned. Like, I love Ned Stark in this book. Jimmy?
Sansa barely by the skin of her teeth edges out Dany, but it's
So-
Sansa.
For me, while everyone's thinking, it's Ned for all the reasons I said. Like, I love the fact that he is honorable. I love that he sticks to his guns, even though it does not work out well for him. Like, I wish that he was more savvy, but I like Yohei really posted. Was it Yo? I think Yohei posted in my Discord about how Ned is the only one in this book that calls the servants and guards like by
Names.
their names.
And not
because-
just Ned, even Arya Stark would call by their names. But
Yeah.
yeah, Adele's Ned.
So I love the Starks. Evie, why Sansa?
So I think I mentioned this on the Discord as well, but like
But I'm listening.
every single Stark has their sense of honor. So Ned's not the only one who's being honorable. Sansa, she has her own sense of honor. It is a very romantic, idyllic sense of honor. You see it in, again, mentioning the tourney scene again. She has this idealized version of what royalty is, what court politics is, what who knights are and what they're for, who Joffrey is and his place as prince and future king. And even when she's faced with the realities of the world and of these characters and what they are doing or not doing and how despicable they are, aka Joffrey, she still is, and maybe this is why a lot of people have problems with her. She's still holding on to that idealized romantic version of honor, which I argue is actually a really profound thing, to still look for that despite what you're seeing. The caveat here being is Sansa's really not, she's kind of, I mean, she truly does have like rose colored glasses on, like, again, using the gold veil as an imagery there.
Yeah.
She, I don't want to say is refusing to see, but she's just holding on to that sense of honor as her means of navigating the world. That is, I mean, it's new to her. Like, the South is just as new to her and foreign as anything else. But yeah, Sansa's so great. I love her so much.
So Thornall's right here, is that this is a very simplistic question, and it's just a matter of enjoyment or what you get out of it. It's everyone's nuanced. Like, I do not like Sansa. I appreciate Sansa as a character. I do not like Sansa. And it's very simple for me. And fortunately, well, Jimmy, I'm not in the Game of Thrones fandom the way you are. But fortunately, at least in this corner, because all the Game of Thrones bros, they're not on my channel. Like, so I can voice an opinion, unlike in the One Piece forums, and not be taken apart by it. The reason I don't like Sansa is very simple. She rats out Ned's plan and gets them all killed. That is the only reason I don't like Sansa. She is, and you're right, Derry, she is a child. What if you got good, Sansa, and didn't rat out your dad's plan and get everybody killed? It's your fault. It's your fault, Sansa. It is Sansa's fault. Everyone is dead. And that is why I do not like her, because she got Ned head cut.
I mean, to be fair,
Not to be
it
fair.
really is Ned's fault because he
Yes.
told it to Cersei and to begin with.
Did that happen
Okay.
after they
No,
said they were
before
leaving?
that. Before that, actually.
Yeah,
Also,
Sansa.
I
Sansa-
neglect your information, and I'm staying with my headcanon.
okay. Can I say something?
Dang
Yeah,
it,
sure.
Derry. I choose to ignore this information. I live in America. All right. Yeah, go ahead, Anita.
But it was still betrayal of family. It was implied, Terry. I don't agree that it wasn't Sansa's fault. She did betray her father. She did betray her house. Even Lannisters did not betray their family. That is worse than being a Lannister. But anyway,
She
I
didn't
have
know she was betraying them. I will give her that much. She's just trying to make Cersei like her.
no. She said her option is king because only king can stop her father, but she's scared of king and he's not accessible. That's why she went to queen, so that queen will tell king and king will stop her father. That's only her goal. Yes, she did not think in the terms of betrayal. Also, um, I mean, I want to say that I don't hate Sansa, but I don't agree that she is at no fault because the whole episode of Micah thing, it happened in front of her. The way Joffrey lied, the way Joffrey betrayed, she witnessed it, but she ignored it because Sansa did not care about Micah, and supporting Joffrey will make him like her. So she ignored the truth that happened in front of her eyes and supported Joffrey's theory and lied to everyone in court. But when it happened to her, when Joffrey uh, did not keep the promise he made to her, that's when she realized the truth. Sansa learned or understood the reality only when it happened to her, not when it happened to other people in front of her eyes.
I
That
love
is my number.
sorry. I love the fact that even Cersei is surprised when Joffrey gives the order to cut off. Like, I told my wife or my fiance and my mom that I would spare Ned's life, but they are silly women and they are not strong. So we're gonna. And I love, like, because don't expect that either. And even Cersei, the theoretically the what she thinks is the puppet master. It's like, hey, no, your son is so much worse than you think he is. Your son is the worst, Cersei. So, sorry, Anita. Go ahead. Hold on, real quick. I'm trying to catch up on comments real quick before you continue. Ned died, and him and his whole family in North want revenge. No one would do it for Littlefinger. I forgot how pathetic Littlefinger is in this. Like, why is Littlefinger an incel, Jimmy?
Because we always need a good incel character in a fantasy book.
Oh my gosh. He's gonna write. Littlefinger has a manifesto and is gonna film it on YouTube. Like, he is not, like, oh my gosh. He buys supplements from the bro podcasters.
He's a big Alex Jones fan, no doubt.
He's the Littlefinger. The water's not turning the frogs gay, man. Come on.
I mean, I after reading this, I realized I did not hate Littlefinger enough by watching the show. He needs to be hated more. Oh my god, he's creepy, and
He's so creepy.
It was very clear that he was obsessed with Catelyn Stark. The way he behaves with Ned Stark, the way he talks with Ned Stark. Oh my god!
All right, hang on. So go ahead. I mean, Derry likes Catelyn or Caitlyn.
Catelyn's another great character in book one.
Yeah,
she's my favorite character actually in book
Do you
one.
like the way she treats
is that your
Jon?
favorite, Caitlyn?
Yeah, I'll get there. Can I continue my point or?
No, continue. Go ahead.
Okay. You said Joffrey is worse than Cersei. That I disagree. In this one, actually, hey Atticus.
He got a haircut.
Oh sorry. Oh my god.
No, he just took a shower. Or just took a bath.
It's difficult to talk about this book in front of Atticus. I'm realizing that now.
Go ahead. I'll send him out if we talk about something super inappropriate.
Anyway, uh, I don't. At least I did not see that Joffrey is worse than Cersei in this book. He is better than Jamie and Cersei. That is an unpopular opinion. See, what um, Jamie did when he found out that Tyrion was taken by Catelyn Stark, he came and killed Ned's men, attacked them, and he knew that Tyrion was safe. Actually, he himself say that I know Catelyn Stark would not harm Tyrion Lannister. He says that, but still, just to chastise Ned, he killed 3 men of Ned Stark's. So compared to that, Joffrey, at least as far as I understand from this book, he still believes he is the son of Robert Baratheon, and he he is a king, obviously, and Ned denied that. So
No
according
one's
to
being
him,
murdered in my house. That is my infant screaming in the bath. That's his happy scream. No one's being killed.
according to Joffrey, Ned he believed he is the true king, and Ned committed treason. And as a king, he was his duty to punish people who committed treason, and he was just in his sentence. Actually, it was stupid thing to do, but he was doing right in his mind. That is better than what Jamie did. He killed 3 men just to satisfy his ego and Lannister pride, and that's what Cersei and Jamie taught Joffrey, and Joffrey is still a child. That's why I think Joffrey is better than Jamie and Cersei.
There is no character I hate more in this first book than Jamie Lannister.
Yes,
Like,
thank you. If I tier rank, sorry about the ambulance sign. If I tier rank my characters, Jamie Lannister would be at the
like
bottom. He's the worst character
I hate
in this.
Joffrey, but when Jamie kills Stark's men
Yes,
for no reason,
yes.
like, and when he pushes, like, I don't like the Bran chapters, but when he, like, you pushing a kid out a window, like, what are we doing? What are we doing, Nicolaj? So
And
your favorite cat in this?
yes, I'll get there, but I'll let other people talk because
Jimmy?
I can talk about I can talk about hours about this topic actually.
Jimmy, who is your favorite in this one? Is it Bobby B? Is it
Are
Bobby?
we okay? Are we okay to talk spoilers for this book?
This book only,
Okay, cool.
not the series.
So I'll tell you my favorite in just a second, but anytime someone brings up Sansa and her naivety and stuff, I always like to bring this point up. If you've already heard it, I apologize, but
Wait.
I had this entire thing about how Sansa is the stand-in for the typical fantasy reader throughout the decades prior, and how fantasy was always about like holding up a lot of the ideals, not every single one, but like in the mainstream eye, it's kind of what it was about. Was knights in shining armor, getting rid of the bad ring, yada yada yada. And Sansa believes those stories, and in many ways, that kind of makes her the quintessential fantasy fan.
Sansa read a lot of Narnia and Tolkien growing up.
Yeah, so Sansa is the stand-in for the fantasy reader at that point, in time, and it is the Band-Aid being ripped off that's not what this is. So to me, and then Sansa comes around. I mean, she has her own journey and stuff, but to me, that's always been why Sansa is such an amazing character. I came up with that like 2 or 3 years ago. I actually wrote out a long blog post, never posted it. But yeah, and there's more to that, but I won't go on and on. I really like Ned. I think Ned's my favorite. There's a lot of ones that could be done here. I like Catelyn a lot. I like Sansa a lot. To me, I think Ned is a great exploration of honor and playing really a great way of Gurm to show how much difference there is in the regions and how they handle things. I mean, I think that's actually really good for the world building. But it's also interesting that in Ned's final moment, he betrays his own principles and lies and says he committed treason and then is immediately punished for it. So the whole book, he's being punished for being honorable, and then he finally forsakes that, and then he gets punished again. No. Just brutal, dude. Like, it's just so brutal.
He's trying to save his family, obviously, but
Yeah, it's also Varys and Ned's conversation's really, really good. I also just love how Ned is one of the most pivotal pieces of Rhaegar's shadow hanging over the story, which it will continue to hang over the story as we continue to go on. And you want to talk about like nuance and misconceptions. I mean, Rhaegar's entire thing is all up in the air for most of the people in the series. But I think Ned does a good job of like laying that blanket shadow over by having so many thoughts about his sister and Rhaegar throughout the series. And, you know, when you reread this book, it becomes very, very obvious the things that Ned's thinking about and why he's thinking about them.
So I get this, Derry. Derry says that he's stupid. You can be honorable without being blind to reality. I don't think like Ned, he just doesn't know. Like he's just ignorant of how this works. He and these Lannisters don't stand for anything. Their principles are their power. That's what they stand for. That's it, power. And that's just not a reality that Ned can accept, because theoretically him and Robert and the rest of the lords were fighting for a cause. That's why they united. And that's another reason that I really like the relationships between Ned and Robert, and how they haven't seen each other in what, like 12 years or something like that. And how that friendship has changed. And we see how much Robert loves Ned, and yet he freaking says horrible things to Ned. What?
Yes, I was actually going to ask everyone how they felt about Bobby B and Ned's friendship, because I think it's really interesting. And also, as someone, you know, you like go away from friends for a long time, you come back to them, and you can appreciate like all the times you had together. But sometimes you just went down two different roads and have different responsibilities, and like I feel like Ned and Robert are going through that.
Yeah,
like they're not made to be friends any longer. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean,
Also, their priorities are completely different, and the way they look at the events happening. Robert he knows that he still loves obviously Lyanna Stark, and he knows that he doesn't love Cersei, and he feels guilty about that. He feels guilty about even hitting her. That's why he agrees with whatever she says, and he agrees with whoever he wants him to hire as squires, everything. So his priorities are completely different. He was completely blinded to Lannister's ambition and arrogance both.
Yeah. Monica has a great point. She said Ned and Bobby B dying also reduces the number of people who know what happened during Robert's rebellion. Super important to me, 100%.
Yeah. You know, all deaths are very parallel. Like both Robert and Viserys died in back-to-back chapters. And after that, at the end, two strong persons, both Ned Stark and Khal Drogo, died back-to-back chapters. He was like, like Martin was so intent about what he wants to do in the books, actually, about power, about who deserves the throne. Like he killed in the just get go, he killed both the kings, like king who is on throne and who is deserving the throne, and two strong people, like just in book one itself.
Evie, you were trying to say something.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that you know, Ned even mentions it to your point, Jimmy, that being in the South and becoming king changed Robert, and he kind of questions if it's for the better, or well, he doesn't even question, like he realizes how much that's negatively impacted him. You know, obviously physically, like he's gotten much larger, he can't do the same things and stuff like that. Can't.
Well, we all gain a few pounds, you know.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Freshman 50, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, Ned kind of talks about that and recognizes that he's changed. And I do wonder, with Robert not having the same people around him, like he just has the Lannisters around him now. He doesn't have Ned. He doesn't have the rest of his House Baratheon around him. So you are a product of your surroundings. And Yeah. So
And
Can
he
you
has
remind me?
no interest. He has no interest in ruling as well. All he wants to do is go back to those free cities and fight as Sellsword.
He
Can
doesn't
you
want to
remind
be.
me why did Robert take the throne instead of someone else? What?
He's the one who killed Rhaegar, and he's the one that started rebellion, I think.
But he didn't do that to become king. Like they
Yeah.
did it to kill Aegon because Aegon it's Mad Aegon, right? Is that right? If I'm wrong.
Well, I think it was Tywin, right? Wasn't it Tywin who kind of like put him in that position? Because the cool thing is Bobby B doesn't necessarily want to be a king, and I don't think Ned Stark wanted to be the head of his family at Winterfell. Like I don't think, well, obviously he wasn't prepared for it, but I also doubt that that's really what he wanted. I mean, there's a lot of things we could talk about with Catelyn and Ned not actually being, in love, but kind of put together. And then the whole Chardane angle, which is really fun to
Aerys
talk
too.
about later.
It's Aerys. That's the
Mhm.
Mad King. Was it what started Robert's rebellion? Was it Lyanna dying? Was that what?
Lyanna getting abducted.
Abducted.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
Also, Xin, Bobby B, it's not that he became like that after Lyanna died. He already has a daughter in Vale when Robert and Ned was training there under John.
I truly think like Robert's like love for Lyanna is just.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he's convinced himself in hindsight that he loved her so much.
Even Ned thinks that at one point that, or in somebody's POV, we were told that even if he had married Lyanna, he would have gone back to other woman's bed or something. There was a dialogue akin to that.
Yeah.
Again, like I love that they're like there's not this much discussion when there's not this much like layered in there. Like there's just so much to talk about and unpack. And I can't have this be 3 hours because it most certainly could be. But I mean, I have children now. But I think that is just a testament of how good this book is and how good Martin is at telling this story. Especially when I first read this, The Witcher 3 had never come out. Now that I've played The Witcher 3 and went and reread this, I'm like, freaking Robert Baratheon is the Bloody Baron. Like I have, like the Bloody Baron is also, this overweight, like jovial guy, but is depressed, drunk, horrible to his wife, is likable, but also just a terrible man. Robert's not, well, I mean, maybe he is as bad, but like, I like Robert. And then he yells at Ned. And I'm like, screw you, fat man. Like, what's your problem? You do it then. Ned didn't even want to do it. He didn't want to come to your stupid city. You freaking made him. You're like, help me. If I don't, the Riggin Cersei's going to give it to the Lannisters. And he's like, okay, I guess I'll do it. That's fine. And then he's like, get out of here. I'm the king. How you tell me that you just get your family back to the north? And it's just like, all right, what is your problem? What is your problem, Robert? Because like the main disagreement they have, right, is over Robert choosing to send assassins after Dany, right? Isn't that the main thing?
Yeah, it's where the line's kind of drawn. Yeah.
That's when he quits.
It's a really good, this is just kind of the random tidbit. I love when Ned's sitting on the throne in place of Robert and one of the like peasants come in or sheep farmers or whatever and thinks Ned is Robert because most people will never see the king. So they don't even know what people look like. Right. So it's like kind of shows you in a subtle way, like how information travels, how easy it would be for someone to have a different identity than what they were. I'm thinking later on with Arya and stuff, but it's just a really good subtle piece of world building, and I guess that probably lines up with a lot of historical things as well. Most people never left their little towns, but
yeah, so they're fighting for all of this stuff that, and then it is just the small folk that, not just the small folk, but the small folk are the ones that suffer for all of this, and they might even not even know why. Like, I mean, at the end of this book, the world's at war, and it's the small folk who are going to suffer all this stuff because these people can't decide who is what. Just a real quick note about the show. I think Conleth Hill's portrayal of Varys is my favorite.
Yes.
Aligning with the book. I think he and the spider it's between him and then Charles Dance's Tywin. Those two are inseparable in my mind from book and show. Like, I only see Charles Dance now when I read about Tywin, and then I cannot not see Conleth Hill as Varys. I love the spider in this one. Go ahead.
The way Varys was described, especially with from Ned's point of view, he also comes across as creepy. But because of watching the show, he was like, "Is he the same Varys?" I kept thinking, "Is he the same Varys? Varys is good." I mean, or like supposed to. I think from show season 1, I did not remember Varys as much, but he has a lot of scenes with Ned in book actually.
He's a lot different in the books.
To me, it seems like what Varys wants more than anything is stability in the kingdom. And so most of his decisions are based on what is going to bring that stability rather than civil war. If that is what he wants, I'm not sure all the decisions he made are great, considering they're going to get civil war now. He probably should have tried a little harder to maybe, I don't know, save Ned or save Robert. Really, Robert is the one that bit it. Speaking of, who do y'all think is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne? Like, who has the best claim on the Iron Throne? Jimmy?
Someone who we have not talked about, Dany.
No, sorry. I mean, I like Dany.
Jimmy, what do you think?
Stannis the Manus. Okay.
Stannis Baratheon has the claim on the Iron Throne, but no one likes him because he's prickly and autistic, and so no one wants to give it to him because he's mean.
Okay.
And
Stop talking about yourself, Alex.
I'm sorry, but okay. I liked Stannis in the show, but that's future seasons. Never mind that. But I'm sorry, but for the fans, he doesn't even show up. Ned wrote many letters. I don't know if they were delivered. He was hiding. He had what is that guy's name? Ned's son, Rob Stark, right? He traveled all the way from Winterfell to what is house Catelyn's yeah. I mean, but Stannis did not come from there to King's Landing and attack, because there was no army, there was no Lannister army. He had all the time and window, but he did not even put in effort when he had the chance. So I have no respect for him at this point.
Who? Stannis?
Yeah.
He doesn't need your respect, only your obedience.
There was no Lannister army in King's Landing.
Bend the knee, Anita. I can't even.
Where was he?
Okay,
where was he?
Who gets it? Who deserves it then, Anita?
Hey, I'm just saying Renly had a really good plan, and Ned could have listened to him, by the way. When Renly's like, let's get the troops, let's get this thing sealed up. Renly was right, by the way. I mean, Renly really was right.
I mean,
the series goes totally different.
The problem is Renly himself is a putz. Like, he needed Ned in charge. Why didn't Ned? This is what I understand. Ned should have just taken the dang throne for himself. Like, I get it's not honorable, but the thing is Ned. This proves, Plato. The only people that are worth that deserve power are those who don't want it. Like, they're the only people deserving of power, and everyone else wants it. So that makes Stannis. Imagine the Seven Kingdoms under Stannis. it would be a Kainu from One Piece. It would be justice without mercy. So, or without being tempered by mercy or compassion. So Stannis would be a fair ruler, but he would be harsh, and it would be without. It would be bleak. It would be without mercy and without compassion. It's just like, oh well, you didn't pay your taxes, off the land. Sorry, there's no room for mercy. Renly, I mean, there'd be a whole bunch, everything be gold. We'd have probably a big old tower that says Renly on it, and he'd probably build like a triumphal arch that has Renly's name on it, plated with gold. He'd probably demolish half of the palace and build like a golden ballroom that had Renly's name on it as well. Like Renly seems to love things that are decked out in gold, and his antler helmet, like that helmet, impractical in battle. I'm just gonna grab onto the antler and just hurl him to the ground. There you go, done. Dany, I guess we should talk about Dany. She's in this book. We don't need to talk about Jon. We'll get there. Like, I love that we've spent an hour and it's all on the King's Landing section.
Can we please talk about Catelyn Stark?
No, give me a minute. My problem with Catelyn, I think Catelyn is a good character, and I like her in the book way more than the show, and that's just because I don't like Michelle Fairley. Like, I just like her voice gets to me.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I've seen her in other things, and she's a fantastic actress, but I just can't.
Interesting.
However, there is no excuse for her being so mean to a child. Like, she is mean to that. Like, she is cruel to Jon. Be pissed at Ned. Like, you think, like, Ned's the one that cheated on you. Okay, that's fine. Jon didn't. Like, Jon didn't do anything to you. Like, sorry, Ned didn't throw him to the wolves. Like, it is ridiculous of how, like, where's Klaus to back me up on this? Klaus despises Catelyn.
Well, he isn't here, but I am here to support her. But continue.
Okay, Anita, why don't you explain to me, justify being cruel to a child? Because how old is Jon 13 in this?
Well,
Something like that.
Everyone is aged down or aged up for the show.
14 or 15. Anyway, see, I cannot justify her being mean to Jon. That is definitely wrong. And that's why Catelyn's character was very interesting to me. It's the most layered character, most nuanced character, or we could say that morally gray character done right, actually, because she isn't all right. She was mean to Jon, especially when Bran was sick. She says, "It should have been you." That is such a horrible thing to say to a child. I agree that Catelyn is not exactly a good character in that sense, but at the same time, I love how strong she stands. She took action when she found out that uh, Bran was going. He witnessed something. That's why people are trying to kill him. And yes, I agree that maybe kidnapping Tyrion was not exactly a smart decision. But
Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure that wasn't a smart decision?
But I don't understand why people say that by kidnapping Tyrion Lannister, she started the war, because there there are other people. First of all, Jamie Lannister killed 3 people. He is allowed to kill 3 people because people still like him. And Tywin Lannister was burning the villages, and Joffrey actually started the war by killing Ned Stark. But people and Caitlyn did not even kill Tyrion Lannister. Caitlyn did not kill Jon. But just because Jon and Tyrion were so popular characters and well loved characters, people hate Caitlyn. Instead, there are other people, other characters did far worse actually. Yes, taking Tyrion may be not a smart decision, but she believed in justice. She thought if she takes, first of all, she believed the wrong person. Obviously she believed her sister, that was her, but believing the wrong person, trusting the wrong person is completely different to person who actually committed the crime. At least in my opinion, she did not commit those crimes.
Okay. Okay. My point, she told a 13 or 12-year-old, I wish you had died instead. I wish they had tried to kill you.
I agree, but Cersei Lannister killed all
Cersei Lannister is a
sons of
horrible
Robert
human being.
Baratheon. So
Cersei
she is
Lannister is
evil.
a
That was
horrible,
actually evil. Yes.
horrible
Catelyn.
human being.
Yes. Yes. Now you get my point.
They're both mothers trying to protect their children, though. To be fair.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
that
But
is
the main difference is Catelyn did not kill. Even though she had the means, even though
Yet.
she had the capacity, Catelyn did not kill anyone.
You're right. You're right. Evie, do you want to defend Catelyn?
Catelyn is to
I don't know
Caitlyn.
this here.
Caitlyn is to what's his face? What's that guy from the Engineer trilogy who I hate? And Cersei.
Valence.
Nope. The guy that starts with a D.
Orcia.
No,
Neil
starts
Dukas.
with a D.
Neil Dukas.
No, the other.
Oh,
No,
Dorinja.
no.
Dorinja.
Don't say that. No, I
Caitlyn is to Dorinja, who Cersei is to Ziani.
What?
Don't at me.
No.
It makes
No
sense.
way.
Don't at me.
Evie
Anyway.
made a reference that 4 people in the world
I was about to say.
understand. But I got it.
Yeah. And then out of the 4 people, 2 of them are here right now.
Correct. And one's in the comment. Pete's the other one.
Anyways, so my thoughts on Catelyn, whatever. So honestly, I just didn't care about her as a character. I didn't give a crap.
My least favorite chapters are Bran's, just because not a lot happens with Bran. And him being mad about not being able to walk. I get it. Like when the car hit me, I also could not walk. I did not have to be carried around in a harness. I would have preferred that, TBH, but Christina said no.
That's nobility, man.
But not a ton happens with Bran. And then sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think my least favorite perspective, like by name, is probably Jon, but I liked the things that were going around him rather than him himself.
I agree with that. I'm not in love with Jon. Jon is the most he's the most like milk toast. Hey, I'm a fantasy protagonist. Check me out. And also, this is just personal. I don't like the ice zone of video games. I don't like cold climate, like Betrayal in Winter. I struggle with in Long Press Quartet because I don't like the cold. I don't like reading about the cold. What?
You
so
hate
Florida
winter.
of you.
Yeah, I don't. So I don't like the wall because it's a bunch of snow, and I just don't like reading about all of that. I'm in the ice zone, the snow zone in Ghost of Yote right now, and I'm like, I don't want to look at this snow. Can I get to a warmer clime, please? I know that's a weird thing. Like, that's just me.
No, that's actually, I understand. I hate winter as well. I hate cold as well. And I was bored with that scenes in the show. But in the book, I actually like them. I look forward them because that is such a distraction and some different tone from all the politics that's happening in King's Landing. I looked forward to Jon's POV, actually.
I am the opposite. I love the snakes, this viper nest that is King's Landing. Like, anytime we weren't there, like, there's some cool scenes at the Eyrie, but I just wanted to get back to Sansa.
Probably if I hadn't known what would happen to Ned Stark, I would have loved those. But since I know it's coming, I was like, no, I don't want to read ahead. I wanted to avoid that. So every time we get Jon's POV, it's like it's a welcome change for me. Oh God, thank God it won't happen here at least.
It's just a masterclass in political intrigue, and that's just what I really like. That, and the military aspect in my fantasy. Lyssa Arryn is just, why is that child breastfeeding that old? Like, that's just yucky. Like that kid's like
She's the
10, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's
6
so yucky.
6 in the book.
Anyway, I'm just not a fan.
It's
To
very
move-
common. It's very common. Mothers breastfeeding their kids till 5 at least
Where?
in real life.
In America?
That I don't know. I never lived in America.
Okay, is that common
There
in
is world
Canada?
outside of America.
I do not know a single 5-year-old that still breastfeeds.
I mean,
Now, I don't know
I mean,
a
I'm
bunch of
35.
5-year-olds. Jimmy, no. Jimmy, no. This is a family show.
Oh God, Mitch. Oh God, Mitch.
Anyways, to move away from that, even though Sansa's my favorite character in a Game of Thrones, I looked forward so much, and you're gonna remove me from the stream again, Alan. I looked forward so much to Dany's chapters.
I like
Yeah.
Danny. We're on the same side.
Why'd you remove me from saying What's
Because
up
she doesn't
Because
she
she's
doesn't
not
deserve
the
Danny.
right.
I love Danny, but please. That's Stannis's. That's Stannis's chair.
Dude, the last
She's-
chapter though is a banger. You have to give it that.
Yes,
It's
last
true.
2 chapters of Danny's POV were excellent.
Yeah.
So I got called. Someone called me one of the freaking internet like incel bros because I only like my favorite female POVs are Arya and Danny, and apparently if you like them, then I sub to r/red pill.
I think it's
Mhm.
not that you liked Danny and Arya. It's like it's that you liked only them. Like you hate Sansa, you hate Catelyn, and like rest of the
Okay.
female characters.
Okay.
That's very
Yes, but it's very simple reason. It has nothing to do with misogyny. It has to do with, hey, Sansa told on her family, got them killed. Caitlyn freaking like told a 13-year-old, then she's supposed to be one of the good guys. Like Cersei does it, that's fine. I don't like Cersei.
I don't understand this argument that Catelyn is supposed to be one of the good guys. So I don't understand why you got that idea, because the first POV of hers itself, the way Martin introduced her to us, like how she doesn't like North, how she how
Anything.
always deferred herself from North, how stubborn she is, how
Anything.
rigid she is.
By
It was
your
very
own admission at the very beginning, you did not like that they weren't morally gray. So by your own logic, if Caitlyn is not a good guy, she
She is
is
morally gray.
ergo ipso facto a bad guy. So you think Caitlyn's a
She
bad
is
guy?
morally grey. I'm not saying she is good, but she is not evil person who
Can you
wants
tell me
to
what
harm.
family?
Okay.
Can you tell me what family she's in? Is she a Stark or a Lannister?
She is River Run. What is that?
Okay,
I forgot.
she's a Tully. Whatever. Who are the Tullys? Are bannermen for who? The Starks, right?
Starks.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. Good guys. Done. I'm finished. Wait,
Okay,
unless your last name is Bolton. I don't like Leech Man.
You're
can we
spoiling
stop-
future books.
No, I'm not.
can we stop talking
No.
about Catelyn and talk about Dany still? Like,
Yes, sorry. Talking about Dan.
so yes. So one, I actually rescind my statement about Sansa being my favorite character, because my favorite character is Silver. The
Horse. Dan is horse, yes.
So
Though
That's a
no
joke.
agency to
Sideline,
that
it's
horse,
joke.
but
You know
Sure.
what dude bro character I'm sick of? I don't like? Khal Drogo.
yeah, I
also
don't
do
care.
not like him. So again,
It's just shorthand.
thematically rich chapters in Dany's chapters. I obviously knew that in comparison to the show, that the show aged up the characters, and knowing what happens to Dany in the first season of Game of Thrones, I was really nervous about how she would be portrayed in the book. And while a lot of the scenes are really difficult to read, at the same time, Martin actively reminds us she's a child throughout this book. From it's actually things that I highlighted from the first chapter that we get. She's described childlike, constant references to her being a child, and then the last chapter and her last chapter in the book, again, these parallels of her being described as a child and her turning into a dragon, like, or I was a child yesterday, today I'm a woman, tomorrow I will be old. And then she just she steps into the fire and comes out, and it's so good. It's so good.
Jimmy, thoughts on Dany?
Oh, I love her. I think she plays like a pretty important part for all of the planet to kind of come into light, because she's obviously super disconnected from the rest of the POVs. Also, if you ever do a POV read, Dany is the easiest to do. You can just read Dany chapters and really not have much else to miss, which is kind of cool. Also, she's a really cool example, again, of how information travels in the world, because she always is finding out about things far after that they've happened, like Robert's passing, for example. So I think that's pretty cool. Also, you get a bunch of Jorah stuff, and Jorah is a horrendous creep and gross, but it's kind of interesting to hear where he was at in Westeros when all of this was going down, and why he was expelled or exiled. So I like Dany a lot. I think she gets far better as it goes on. At least that's just my opinion. I think that the Drogo scene, the wedding night scene's horrendous. I know what George R. R. Martin was going for, but it sucks, and I don't like it. It's the worst part of the series for me. The idea is that this happens, and the next time she's like, I'll get on top. It's supposed to be like, she's taking agency, but it's like, we could have done that like a million other ways. Like, we didn't have to do that, but he tried.
Are you a Jorah fan?
Oh, dude, you want to talk about characters that got, but you want to talk about characters that got prettied up for the show. Dude, yeah. Jorah is supposed to be like the most quintessential, like, incel middle-aged man, like just an absolute walkover. And bald, like, I think, isn't he bald in the books or balding in the books too? Like, they made him so much better in the show as far as like his reception goes. But yeah, Jorah's a creep, dude. He's as bad as Baelish in some ways.
Oh, for sure. And Ian Glenn, he also plays a super unpleasant character in Downton Abbey. And so I'm just like, Ian Glenn, I'm sure you're a nice man, but I do not like the characters that you play. Yeah, balding. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah, he's hairy as a bear, but doesn't have hair up top. I think that's one of the things. Dude, and like, remember, Dany is very young in this book, and it's nothing like the show. And that makes it all of those things so much worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like the Dany chapters in the later books because of kind of the maneuvering of the region that she's in, and how she has to learn to play a political game the same way that Ned did not learn over in King's Landing. So I don't like the freaking what are they called? What are these horse people called? How do I not having children makes you dumb, guys.
Dothraki?
The Dothraki, yeah. I don't like horse warriors in anything. When I teach, my Greek history, I don't like the horse warriors. They're always wrecking my armies with their, Parthian shots. So I don't like the horse warriors. Drogo, whatever. Viserys is just like, what a character, Martin. Like, just like how he survives as long as he does is beyond me. Viserys is the worst.
When first we were introduced to Viserys and Dany, and how it was mentioned that he literally begged on the streets to feed Dany. He went on starving to feed Dany. I felt bad for him for all the trauma. But then the way he talked to Dany, like he would sell her and like let them do stuff to her in order to gain his throne, that I was like, oh my God, I just felt sad for you, and you're talking like that. It was very difficult to
the first scene, she's trying on the dress and he pinches her boobs. Like, what are we doing, Viserys? It's so yucky.
It's so bad, dude.
It's so yucky.
Oh my God.
I am the dragon. The dragon will not walk. Anita, you will not talk over the dragon.
It's the quintessential. It's the quintessential, like, if you have to say you're in power, you're not in power.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't that a line that Tywin has in the show?
I'm
where-
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. He says it to Joffrey. But
Yeah. You're no king at all. Yeah. Yeah. Or no son of mine is another good quote from Tywin.
yeah.
World's
But
greatest dad.
I'm with you. That last chapter, the first time I read it, where she walks into the fire with the eggs and then comes out with hatched dragons, just amazing.
What's the final line, Evie? You have the book there. It's like something, and the sounds of dragons was heard for the first. I can't remember. It's such a good closing line to a book. It's ridiculous.
Why are there so many houses?
The other two pulled away from her breasts and added their voices to the call, translucent wings unfolding and stirring the air. And for the first time in hundreds of years, the night came alive with the music of dragons.
Banger, dude.
Dude.
It's like that's how you end a book.
Yeah.
Woo!
Great ending.
Yeah, forget about these witty openers everybody wants to do. How about you end the thing well? How about that?
Can we talk about the conflict between Arya and Sansa before we finish?
Oh, I would love to.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna put it in. Ethan, you can go. I'm just gonna say this real quick. I was around a bunch of young sisters this past week and my nieces, and all I could think about is how Arya and Sansa are a great replication of sisters.
I was going to say
it's spot on.
Yes, but I have both mixed thing about this, where I related at the same time I did not relate. See, I was a younger sibling where my sister was completely opposite to me, and we did not get along as kids. Actually, I was the sister who rolls on dirts, who climbs trees and walls, everything. Okay, I was that kind of sister, and my sister was more prim and proper. So the fights, the conflict, that part I completely understand, very relatable actually. But okay, for people like in the beginning, like first part of the book until they reach King's Landing, I was more frustrated with Arya, even though I was more like her actually. But one at the end, actually, once everything we are talking spoilers, after Ned Stark's death, it was, I immediately, like, I could not relate anymore. I think, I don't know if it was intentional from Martin's POV, the way he wrote Sansa's character. It was it, it was intentionally he wrote as like hateful, like people, so that people hate Sansa, or because it was very surprising to me that she doesn't think about Arya. I cannot relate to that, because even when I was fighting with my sister, if I don't see her for a day, I used to cry. She has to be in front of me so that I can fight with her actually. So it was, I cannot relate to that. And the main conflict between Arya and Sansa was about Joffrey, where since Micah's incident, Arya calls out that Joffrey is such a bad person. I hate him. But Sansa always supported him. Now that Sansa got to know the um, true character of Joffrey, her not thinking about how Arya was right is, I cannot even that's unbelievable for me, because of how many times I think my sister was right and how many times she told me that I was right when we get to learn something actually. So her Sansa not thinking about Arya, not thinking she was right, is not at all believable to me. So that part actually, after Ned Stark death, though I liked what we see of Sansa, I mean, liked as in we see her realizing the true nature of Cersei and Joffrey, and her going through so much is such a bad thing. At the same time, I felt it was very one-dimensional. Actually, we don't see anything where Sansa realizing actually when it comes to Arya, when it comes to Ned Stark, what she did, telling Cersei about. Her father's plans. So I don't know if it is intentional or not, but I felt it's very one-dimensional.
This Martin was prescient in portraying children, because this is how most of my students act. There's no such thing as self-reflection, and it is never your fault. Like, I have students beef, and I listen to their beef, and I listen to them complain, and literally all it would take is some self-reflection and an apology for both sides, and everything could be fixed. But that's not what they do. It's someone else's fault, and you don't self-reflect. I completely believe it. She's also 11, I guess 12 by the end of the book. Like, she's
And
Sansa is
also, like,
Sansa is spoiled.
And also, she's mad because it's Arya's dire wolf, that attacked Joffrey, but Lady is the one that is.
Again, Joffrey is the one who first attacked a child.
But again, just speaking about the wolves, like, Sansa, on the flip side, is a completely believable, like, childhood character in that she has no self-reflection, to Alan's point. Like,
yeah, and they're also
when I was her age, I was dumb. I didn't self-reflect.
Yeah. And also, we're acting like people in real life
Self-reflect.
see people do bad things and then learn the lesson and go back to the light. That's not anything like life.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Mitch's comment.
Mitch?
Yeah, he flamed you pretty bad there. That's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly, Beps. So I mean, I get it, but like I believe, you know, Sansa's whole world is Sansa and Joffrey, I guess, and she's trying to reconcile what has happened with what she thought her life was going to be.
Yeah.
And you know what? I bet she blames Arya a little bit.
I was about to say that. I wonder how much of this she looks back and goes, this is actually Arya's fault, possibly. I think Anitha does have a point, though. I think that at least a thought would probably have been good. I imagine it's probably omitted for the fact that I think it's fairly obvious that the story arc that they both will go on is to come back together at some point and have grown and changed and, you know, reconcile that thing. I imagine that's part of the story. So I think maybe some of it's convenience, but who knows? I'm not sure.
This is a gut reaction / statement with no real thought behind it, to be fair, but I could maybe potentially argue that Arya is just as selfish and self-centered as Sansa.
She's 9.
I'm sorry?
She's 9, so I mean that's.
Well, yeah. But like when you see her scenes in the book, like,
yeah,
any, like, Micah is just a tool for her to practice swordplay. What is it, Sirio or whatever his name is?
Syria Pharrell, yeah.
Is just a means for her to do something rather than actually caring about them as individuals. It's what they do for her. So
The way I looked at Arya lacked manners. She had no idea of how to treat a prince, rather than she's selfish. Sansa is selfish in my opinion, but Arya lacked basic court. What is the sense how to behave with prince?
What did Micah do? Why does Micah deserve it?
Huh?
Micah doesn't deserve it. That's Arya's little friend, right? That
is Mitch being Mitch.
That gets run down by the worst character in this book. Worse than who I hate even more than who I said I hated the most. Jaime Lannister. Freaking because I hate this character through every book. Gregor Clegane. I despise Gregor Clegane. Like, I hate the Mountain with every fiber of my being.
Okay. I thought you were going to say the Hound, and I was going to be super offended.
No. I like the Hound. He's fine even here. But Gregor, the Mountain, I hate that guy. Like, you want to talk about a chud, like Giga Chad, like that dude is subscribed to every podcast. He like downs like 80 supplements per meal. He's always drinking pre-workout. He's the one that when you're talking to him, like in a room, like where there's office furniture, does like incline push-ups, like on the desk, apropos of nothing. freaking giant freak. I hate Gregor Clegane.
He gets things done, Alan. What do you want?
I mean, no, he's. I mean, sure, but it's just like it's like Tywin's personal, just
Attack dog.
Tank that he releases. Like
Gregor he's Clegane, OP. He's a bit OP.
He is OP for this level. These characters need to grind somewhere and come back and fight Gregor. Gregor Clegane does man spread.
Do you think Gregor Clegane does his bed every morning and knows about the lobster?
I don't know what any of that is.
I believe this is a Jordan Peterson reference.
Is he really 8 feet and 30 stone? He's like 7 feet tall, though, in the book, like canonically, right? Isn't he like that big?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, but Andre, do you want a peanut? Anybody want a peanut? Like Andre the Giant's not doing what he needs to be.
Andre the Giant is an international treasure. Don't you dare make that comparison.
What I originally thought is I knew we were going to get warring factions. I do not understand why Renly and Stannis don't join forces and absolutely just raffle stomp the Lannisters. It is so like Renly, fall in, bro. Like fall in.
Whoa.
Renly is the youngest brother. He has no claim. None, Jimmy.
Well, Stannis is out there doing whatever. I mean, Renly's there.
Stannis had all the time.
I thought Stannis got sent to Dragonstone.
He did.
Like, isn't that where Robert made him go?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking Renly.
He had all the time to attack King's Landing when Tywin Lannister's army was busy with Robb Stark's army. But he was sitting idle. I don't know.
He's not sitting idle. Read the next book.
What was he doing then? I mean, okay. We'll see when it comes to that. We'll fight.
I think a lot of your problems will be resolved in future books, and Ethan.
He's probably like rallying forces to kill the Lannisters.
I'm pretty sure that. Well, I won't say anything because I think it's a book too. So I'll just leave it there.
We'll see. Anyway, does anybody have any other thoughts?
Here's the hot take.
So much in here. What? Go ahead.
Here's my hottest take about A Song of Ice and Fires. I like Bran. I like all of his chapters.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. And honestly, a lot of it's because that's where some of the lore and the mystique comes in. But
in this book,
no, not in this. But later on, I mean, he kind of comes. He's like the core of some of the magical elements. But
yeah,
in this book, I did not hate Bran.
I like him.
Guys, when I say I don't like Bran chapters and that they're boring, it's because there's so much happening in King's Landing. And
yeah, it's what you prefer.
And the Eyrie. Bran it's still good. First of all, it's still a Martin chapter. Bran is trying to adjust to his, to never being able to do the things that he thought he was going to be able to do. And that itself is a worthy storyline. But it's also like later, Bran, like later. Let's go pause later, Bran. We can read about your self-loathing, and
he can be a bit of a brat too. Like he's not always likable.
So, Bran is fine in this book. I actually like him less in the later books. But
I'm just gonna reference this wonderful, amazing comment that someone put in the Game of Thrones channel Discord chat thing about Bran's chapter, all his chapters in this book. I realize this makes me a bad person, but whenever I see the Bran chapter up next, I sometimes wish Jamie had pushed a little harder.
Oh, that's just terrible.
And I do not regret how hard I laughed.
I agree. So I like Bran until he falls. Yes, Connor, yes, Bran's chapters are unskippable cutscenes. They are. You have to watch them, and it's like, all right, well, can I play the game again?
One last thing. Go ahead, Amy. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I'm about 200 pages into the second book, so I'll just say that I am enjoying what Martin does with Bran's character, and again, exploring all of the Stark characters and their sense of honor and how their sense of honor is so specific to each one of the characters. So
Mitch.
Clash of Kings Bran is much more interesting to me than Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think it gets better as it goes. Personally,
I don't like Robb
This
Stark.
book is 970 pages. Alan, what is this?
nah,
It reads so fast. Like
the end of that book is crazy.
these books read so fast.
So,
They're just, and I love Clash of Kings. I love.
so
A
good.
lot of people like Clash of Kings, like they rank it number 3 in the first 3, but I love Clash of Kings.
I like it more than Game of Thrones for sure. I think Game of Thrones, if to me, after I reread it like 3 times, I was like, I'm good. Like I could probably not reread this again and be okay. But I always do and end up loving it. One thing I want to put out there is in the prologue, whenever the others are there, do you notice when they approach Sor Raymar Royce or Waymar? I can't remember. Thanks. The others look at his sword before they engage. They check his. They look at his sword almost to verify it's not some sword.
Yeah,
and then and that is one of the coolest parts of that prologue.
That's a nice detail, Jimmy.
Wait, I'm confused. What's the significance of?
Well, the others, instead of just attacking,
if you don't know,
look at his sword.
Okay, if you don't remember, let it be.
Yeah. But
one second. Y'all carry on. I'm gonna tuck Atticus in real quick.
That's the nice detail. I don't think I observed.
And here's the thing: people get way carried away with theories and stuff, which, by the way, is harmless. Like I think it's funny as long as people aren't like, if this doesn't happen, this series sucks. I hate those people. But there are like many little details that actually add up later on. So it's very interesting because you can read this, you can do a full read just thematically and get so much out of it, have great discussions. But then there's like puzzle pieces there or questions that you can start asking depending on the way you read it. But it's pretty cool.
I noticed John's mother theories, like the hints and all, because of how much I read those theories.
Yeah.
But this one I missed, actually.
Tharnell, to answer your question, and maybe this will, by extension, be a question for you, Anita. How do you feel about Game of Thrones compared to Knight of the Seven Kingdoms? I prefer Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, like, because it was consumed me, and I think it's obviously much more contained and tighter and more intimate of a story, even though it's 3 novellas. But from a writing style perspective, it's very consistent, and the thematic explorations that Martin is doing is obviously fairly consistent. He's exploring honor in so many different ways. Obviously, in Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, it's the chivalry of it all. And obviously, Game of Thrones is much darker and more politically motivated in his amidst all the honor. But Anita, you read Windhaven, and did you read
That's
anything?
I read Windhaven. That's it before Game of Thrones. And Windhaven, it's tricky because it was written by 2 others. And I loved writing there. I loved because of the subject matter and how much I related to that and how both the others did with it without being preachy, without giving any kind of solution. I loved it. This one, I need to see actually future books, how much I get character depth before saying anything about. But this is the first book by Martin solo writing I read.
I'm literally looking up that tidbit of information, Jimmy.
So whenever I think they come out of the trees, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like the main guy looks, checks, and then they start coming in.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Mitch. One thing I noticed, I mean, the saddest thing in this one is in the show,
Oh,
I noticed
they
only
fixed on the longsword, trembling on high, watched the moonlight running cold along the metal. For a heartbeat, he dared to hope. Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
the others. I'll send it to you later. Sorry, Anita. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, in the show, I noticed only Ned Stark's death and I was sad, but in the book, I was already mentally prepared for that. I noticed more of how many Ned Stark's men died. Actually, I felt very sad and I grieved for them, how unfair it is. I was more angry with Jamie and Cersei because of that, actually.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them for being loyal retainers. One thing I did remember, and then is how much less sex there is in this book than in the show. Like,
Less?
yes.
Oh, the show has way more.
The show has
I did-
way more. Like, even in the first episode.
Okay. I mean, maybe that is true, but most of the Dani's POV, it was first of all, it was beat to beat same as show, and it was lot of sex. That's why I was like, I wasn't that interested. But last two POV chapters of us were great actually. But I thought it was a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot in
Yeah.
season 1 of Game of Thrones. And also, again, to quote Yohei from the Discord, a lot of just like nuanced conversation is, for obvious reasons, removed in that first episode. Because that's the only episode I've watched recently. Is I rewatched the first episode for time, obviously, but a lot of just the subtle interactions between the characters in the early chapters of the book are just not in the show. And also, am I the only one that misses Tyrion doing a little somersault flip?
Oh my, yeah. It's what. So there's two things in this book that aren't like continued, and that's Tyrion being like a circus jester essentially at some point, acrobatic, and then also they called Jaime Lannister the Warden of the West, I believe.
Mhm.
And Martin had this idea for these warden titles to be really big, and they just go away after this book, I think.
Oh, that's true.
Sorry, Jimmy. To
Isn't
Mitch's
isn't
point,
John Aaron the Warden of the
East, yeah. And I
East.
think isn't Ned Warden of the North too?
Yeah, I thought Jamie replaced John Aaron.
Yes.
Maybe. I just know the warden title doesn't really matter after book 1.
Got it.
I didn't understand the significance of Warden, to be honest, actually, from book 1.
Well, in the original outline, it like leads to like the war being a little bit more streamlined of like who would take the throne if who won. I guess I can tell you guys the original outline because it doesn't happen.
As long as it doesn't spoil a ton of stuff for.
No, it won't, as long as we don't talk about what actually happened. But
That's
like Jamie was supposed to sit on the Iron Throne. That was supposed to happen in the original outline. John was supposed to marry Arya.
You.
Yeah.
You.
I don't love that.
I don't love it either.
What? Where did you get this alleged original outline?
It's online. You can check it out. Remember, it was supposed to be a trilogy. It obviously grew from there, but yeah, in the original outline, there's a bunch of stuff. I want to say Tyrion and Sansa still end up. Well, hold on. I'll just shut up.
Tyrion and Sansa are actually perfect in a way.
There's nothing about Tyrion and Sansa in this first book. Nothing.
Yeah, that's why I stopped talking. And
coming back to Mitch's comment, doesn't that cat belong to Rhaegar's child's cat, daughter's cat? Somebody in the story said she has the cat who is the same color Arya was chasing. She was calling it Balerion or something.
Look, can we just hashtag RIP Fat Tom? I miss Fat Tom. I love
and
that.
Jory. I mean,
yeah, Jory too.
I hate Jaime Lannister. Tomorrow, when Klaus rewatches this, he'll message definitely his favorite character is Jaime Lannister.
No,
dude. Yeah, I mean, for good reasons, I love Jaime's character, but we aren't there yet. So
when it's hard for you guys who have seen the show first, but when I was reading Game of Thrones for the first time, it took me like I did not catch on to what John Aaron had been researching. Like I didn't get the seed is strong thing like much before Ned did. So I was just like, what? Like, why are you reading books, John Aaron? What if you did something useful other than dying? You know, old man, come on. And then I'm like, oh no, like this is why I love reading, especially things that have things to figure out, because I rarely figure them out, and I'm always excited when I find them out.
To be fair, when Ned was researching what John Aaron was researching, I was looking for hints where Ned could have missed, but it wasn't possible for first-time readers. At least I felt that way.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've always missed since reading this and reading, how many hundreds of fantasy books I've read, is like I never feel like there's not enough to figure out, or the way it's posed is not interesting enough to figure out, if that makes sense. Like, and I'm not even saying it always has to have an answer. Like, I would just like to have some questions coming out of something. And that's just something I haven't really got from another series, really, that I can think of.
Yeah. It's certainly, I mean, it's just different. Like, it's just different. Like, Martin is Martin is a master of his craft. I like reading this. Like, I have a book to finish and then another book in between me and Clash of Kings. But I'm gonna get to it as soon as I can. Yes, that is one of the things that I like very much, that Ned is playing detective, because that's the kind of things that I love.
It's a murder mystery book. That's the best part about it. And also, it's funny that The Expanse starts that way as well, because Ty Franck and Daniel Abraham being Grimm's like proteges.
Hey, that is so true. Murder mystery, but the main character is not a detective.
Yeah,
bingo prompt.
And another thing is, I don't know if you guys noticed, but every time Martin starts a chapter, it's like in the middle of a scene. It's very TV.
Yes, I love that.
Oh, I love it so much.
This is about, like, I love, because I commented that on that to you, Jimmy, when I was reading it, is he has always moved the plot along. It never picks up right after the thing that happened before. It always is a little later, in the middle of like whatever scene, and he always picks the exact scene it needs to start in.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps it from being 1,500 pages, because he doesn't write the scenes that we don't need to see. He just references them.
Yeah, and sometimes you wonder what was said just before you came into the chapter. Like, or someone's like leaving the scene, and the two other people say, wait, why was Varys in that room? That's always fun.
Yeah. Man, what a good book. What a good series. Like, I cannot wait.
My favorite, man.
Clash of Kings. And
I'd burn every other book on this planet and just read that again if I had to.
Look at Evie, bless you in your notes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Makes me so happy.
And I'll just say, again, 200 pages into Clash of Kings.
Love it.
I feel like there is still so much to talk about this book. So much we haven't covered. So many characters we did not talk about. It's never ending.
I don't know. It's like there could be a podcast out there that's a Song of Ice and Fire dedicated.
Hold on. That's Book Club's podcast, right?
Oh my God. I hate you so much. I will say this, another thing, and sorry, I could go on, but one thing, especially whenever you get into Storm of Swords, is that the order of the POVs matter a lot. Sometimes it's a hint, sometimes it's thematically. It's really interesting to compare like what chapter was before. And I noticed that because we do a chapter a week on Bend the Knee, and we'll be like, wait, last week didn't we just see this kind of similar thing opposite in a Brienne chapter to like, whoever.
Even in this one, he was very intentional, the way he ordered.
Yeah, it's very much on purpose, the way he orders them.
I also really like, this is one of the things that drives me crazy in fantasy books, travel chapters. Like, I just don't
I like a good travel chapter.
Like, there are too many in fantasy books. Like, we need to. And
you don't like Lord of the Rings?
Catelyn goes from frickin' Winterfell to King's Landing, not in the span of a single chapter, between the chapters. Like, she's like, I'm on to King's Landing. Next chapter, boom, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you.
In the show,
so
she
much.
doesn't go to King's Landing, right?
What?
She
No,
does.
she does.
In the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, she
Oh,
does.
she not- What?
Really?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I love it. Like, love to see it. Love to see it, George. Thank you. Please continue. Please continue.
And his in stops are much more interesting than a lot of other fantasy book in stops. Thankfully, the Hound is much to be credited for that.
That's for sure. But Jimmy, are you still doing bend the knee every week?
Yeah, we're about to finish A Storm of Swords, and man, when you break it down chapter by chapter, you realize how ridiculous that book is. Like, there's like 8 climaxes. It's so stupid. I love it.
That's what she said.
Sorry.
Guys,
And
check
Nita.
out Bend the Knee. If you have not checked out Bend the Knee.
Sorry.
That's a Tyrion peeing off a wall. Love it. Love it. Exactly. There is plenty to still talk about. Like, you could talk. I love that there is so much to talk about. If time were endless, we could literally we could go chapter by chapter and talk about this stuff. We didn't get the time, sadly. Is there anything major that we missed?
I'm sure, but
yeah, that someone wants to touch on now before we close on
Never
our dinner.
mind.
What, Anita?
No, never mind. I don't think we can talk about it. Like, we have to read in future books. Like,
Yeah, we obviously can't talk about things that happen in future books in the discussion for book
the first chapter after the prologue. In the prologue, we see the others, right, first time, and one of those guys runs away, and we see the same guy in chapter 1 getting beheaded. Ned Stark
Yeah.
by Ned Stark. I
Yeah.
think that's a full circle. Ned Stark started with beheading one guy and ended up getting beheaded.
Well, do you that's actually a very good point, and I don't know if I've actually thought about that before, Anita. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
do you think Ned worked into the bird that flew over Arya?
Huh?
Isn't
Hold on, Jimmy. Wasn't Sir Arthur Dane defeated at the Tower of Joy because Howland Reed warged himself into Arthur Dane's body and allowed himself to be killed? Because how else could a 20-year-old Ned Stark take out the Sword of Morning?
Well, I mean, there is a good question there, which is, how did Howland Reed and Ned Stark beat that Kingsguard lineup? Something doesn't add up.
Look. There were a bunch of them. It wasn't just them.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it comes down to just Ned and Howland Reed versus Arthur Dane and a couple other people I'm forgetting right now. But I mean,
cheat codes is the answer.
Arthur Dane would skewer both of them.
Nope. Nope. That's because Howland Reed warged himself into
Arthur Dane's body.
I have a friend, my friend at school. This is his like ride or die Game of Thrones theory. Yes. Like,
I mean, it's such a good question to ask how it happened, but that is such a dumb solution.
No. Bell he's like,
oh, it's Bell?
Warg. Yeah, it's Bell. It's the engineering teacher next door. He's like, look, Howland Reed warged into Arthur Dane, and then if you question him on it, was like, how did you beat him? How did Ned and Howland beat him then?
That's a good question. Howland Reed is one of the coolest characters in the series that we know.
Did we see that battle in detail in this book?
No.
I know Ned was dreaming about it, but did we see the details?
You just told about it. Yes. Yeah. Invite Bell and bend the knee.
I believe, if I'm remembering now, it's like that Ned worked into the bird that Arya ends up eating. So people think Arya ate her dad. I mean, it's obviously dumb, but it's kind of funny.
Ned Stark a warg?
Well, he's a Stark.
But don't we have to see the animal to...
I mean, it's not true, guys. It's just funny.
It is true that Howland Reed became Arthur Dane long enough for Ned to get...
Corn Halfhand, by the way, is Arthur Dane. I'm just going to die on that hill real quick.
We didn't meet him yet. Guys.
Oh, come on. Now that one's fine, Anita.
To answer, I think it's Beps asked, when are we doing the discussion of Clash of Kings?
So Clash of Kings will be mid to late May, because I will not finish it in April. So
not even start it.
so I will read it as quickly as I can. It'll be probably the first book I read in May, and we'll do it afterwards. We'll have to have it without Anitha because there's no way she probably won't even started it by then.
Is
but
that a challenge?
yes, it's a challenge, Anitha. It's a challenge. Here's what's going to happen. Anitha's not going to read it. She's going to go watch season 2 of the show and come armed with that.
Like George from Seinfeld. He watches this show and goes to a book club meeting.
That's the most George Costanza thing I've ever heard. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Guys, thank you so much for showing up. People in the comments, love to hear y'all's theories. And I know this book is discussed a lot on BookTube. I know there's been a lot of discussions about it. And
But it hasn't been discussed by us.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. And I haven't seen y'all's theories. I haven't seen y'all's thoughts. So I'm happy to, like, I don't care if you've said them before elsewhere. Like, I like to hear it. Like, Jimmy, I'm sure you say similar things on other podcasts. I haven't seen them. So
I didn't see those podcasts. All these Jimmy thoughts are new to me. So
Me too.
I need to.
I love hearing it. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back with Clash of Kings end of May, probably. And then I'm going to set aside time for the SOS conversation.
3 hours.
I mean, what? Oh man!
5
I
hours?
hope that book.
2 hours on just book 1.
I hope Storm of Swords is as fraction of good as I remember it being. So, Jimmy, I'm saying I'm hoping that Storm of Swords is even kind of as good as I remember it being.
It's going to be better.
That's so excited.
It's a bold statement.
All right. So don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button so that every couple months or so you'll be notified that there's a video. Alan Reed does Aura Farm. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys, and thank you guys so much for joining us. Sorry, Andy. There's and also you can just watch the rethink. All right. Bye, everybody.